As you can tell, this is a beautiful old theater. I've shot here a couple of times. My kids used to actually perform some of their school plays here, and it's just a great location. It's rich in terms of its detail and history. This is one of those places, as they say, they don't make them like this anymore. So we're going to shoot here today. We're going to be into an advanced technique on the Nikon CLS, the creative lighting system. We're going to be using what would be called repeating flash or stroboscopic mode, which means during the course of one frame of photography there will be many, many flashes. The flash, as you always remember, the flash fires very, very quickly. Anywhere maybe from 1,000th of a second to 2,000th of a second in that realm. So even though the shutter is open, okay, the shutter is open in a black room, so there's no exposure input except that which you light. And what we're going to do today is have dancers spinning through these repeating flashes, slices of light, if you will. And we'll really kind of parse out their movement with light and see the intricacy of a dance step. They're both really accomplished ballerinas. We should be in for a really great day. Ordinarily, your camera point of view is not, in the middle of the seats, but thankfully we own the theater today, so we can go anywhere we want. So I want to bang on camera viewpoint to the stage. The action is probably going to be a panning action on the part of the dancers. I'm thinking left to right, and we're going to have to light their path. High roller, speed rail, 4 SB900s. We're going to have to put what's called a speed rail or a bracing over them, and we'll hang lights from it. And those will be the SB900 speed lights. They'll be on repeating flash mode. What you're working with are numbers of flashes and how fast they repeat or how fast they cycle. That's referred to as a hertz. A hertz is just a general descriptive term for the frequency of something or how often something repeats in 1 second. You divide the hertz into the number of flashes, and that'll give you your rough shutter speed. It's not an exact science, but 10 flashes maximum, 5 hertz, 2 seconds. So then becomes the little bit of the art of it, actually taking that mathematical formula, plugging it into the motion of a dancer and timing that move so that you accommodate the full swing of the move back and forth across the stage and cover it with light in the time that they are moving. One thing that is always important with stroboscopic is to make sure you minimize seeing anything that's static in the frame. Because if there's anything static and it builds up that repeating light, it will start to burn up or heat up exposure-wise. The dancers, no problem, because they're moving on a constant basis, so they're getting one flash, say, per foot or something like that of movement, so they don't have a chance to be at rest and build up exposure. So I'm thinking that spiking the camera right about in the middle of the theater and using a kind of a middle telephoto lens that'll give me enough depth, because the dancer will start here and end up here. So you have to have an f-stop that will accommodate that, spread of movement. Let's do a 3x3 on a C-stand right out here, I think probably right at the corner of the stage. And let's put 2 SB900s with diffusers through that. There's the first step of how do the lights work. Flash, 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 flash. Okay, great, stroboscopic. But then once you've got that mechanical, scenario worked out, how do they look and feel? It can't just be a straight flash jackhammer approach. You've got to feather and tailor the light. Your camera's open, the shutter is open for a great deal of time. A lot can happen in that time, and you have to be able to control all of it. Let's also just backstop ourselves and put 2 more 900s on a stick over here to get that starting point. And so now we'll have all the pieces in play, and we'll see how many of them we actually need to use. All right? A great deal of your day is going to appear to be unproductive because a lot of it is mistakes, adjustment, more mistakes, more adjustments. And you finally work your way down to a formula with the light and the dancer that kind of complements each other, and that's when you actually start to get pictures. I don't anticipate a great volume of successful pictures today. 5, If we get 5 really good pictures, 10, whew, man, that would be a really good day. See, this is the fun part about photography. This is the part they always tell you about in school, is that so much of it is about heavy lifting and rope tying and various kinds of machinations you need to go through just to get your lights in the right spot. So we'll see how we do here. The images are now piping through a USB cable into the computer. I've got Camera Control Pro, which is a Nikon software. With a complicated scenario like this, I find this to be advantageous because then you're not limited to the small field of view of the LCD, even though the LCD in the D3 is like a mini high-definition television. It's pretty terrific. I really need to kind of see where the problems might be as this scenario develops. So what I'm thinking about, and this is where I have to ask you guys what your possibilities are and what your suggestions might be. It's going to be a panning motion because that's the nature of the way the light pattern would affect you best. So I'm thinking about a starting point of somewheres back in here at this end of the floor where you might be, you know, in a dance pose to start off with, and then a move that would bring you diagonally this way. Okay, you see up above there'll be lights. See that grid right up there? That pipe is roughly the angle that you're going to follow. I've always loved dance. I've always loved ballet. The art form of the ballet is astonishing. I also have real empathy for dancers because, just like photographers, they're creative, hardworking people, and they're vastly underpaid. Drew, go to your right, please. Keep going. Okay, cool. Right there. So let's mark that as a starting point. Could you do me a favor and put a 2-stop ND gel in that light, please? I don't have TTL EV control in stroboscopic mode. Essentially, I'm programming all these lights to fire at a certain rate and a certain power. Now, because I have a little bit of a hot spot, what you can do is insert just a little plastic piece of gelling that's a kind of a gray, has no effect on your color balance or your color temperature of your light. It just knocks some of the stuffing out of the exposure. So that's what we're doing now. We're going to make a minor adjustment in one of the flashes. Ready, Julian? And go. Okay. Julian, the start move, you have to move away from that light very quickly. So as soon as I say go, you need to be moving away from that light. Okay? And go. Beautiful. There it is, right there. We've got the exposure down. Now we just have to aesthetically do a pleasing combination of the speed of the dancer and the speed of the flashes. I have the flash running at 1/64th power. Here's the thing, when you pulse the flash like this in a repeating way, you can't max the flash out in power because the flash won't have a chance to recycle as quickly as you want it to. I have a formula worked out here where I have 14 flashes, a maximum of 14 flashes, and a hertz cycle of 4, which means 4 flashes per second. So you take your hertz, you divide it into your maximum number of flashes, and you get a rough estimate of your shutter speed. So essentially here I'm looking at 3 seconds or so to make this move. So that's also the tricky part. The dancer has to negotiate that terrain in 3 seconds and move quickly and come to rest. Timing is of the essence. Everything dark, please.
Go dark.
And go. Beautiful. Okay, lovely. It's really starting to work very, very well. Go. Beautiful. All right, ready, and go. Beautiful. I love the fact that you brought it down and up again, Vanessa.
Yeah, I forgot to start it up.
No, I think it was wonderful. What I'm going to try to set up is something where your initial move would be up like this and ask you to stay there. Okay, so it'd be a flash, stay. And then I would do my usual, okay, ready, go. All right? I'm trying to sort out a double exposure. I just want to see if there's even a basis for going forward. I program double exposure into the D3. I make a single flash exposure of her at rest. That is with the SU800 triggering 2 lights through a panel that are running on channel 2. I have those lights totally separated from my stroboscopic or repeating flash system. I switch off the SU800 in the interest of time by just simply physically replacing it off the hot shoe with the pre-programmed SB900, which is the master for the repeating flash setup. I hit the shutter again, the bulb exposure kicks in with the stroboscopic effect as Julianne moves through the flashes. So I have a frozen solid portrait and then the motion of the dancer combined in one frame. It actually works really, really well.
Good.
Hold. Hold. And go. Beautiful. That was lovely. Photography like this is all about building blocks, and that's why I do it, I think, you know, reasonably well, because I'm still a 2-year-old. I'm still in the sandbox with my blocks. And I take them and I put them on one on top of the other. And then basically build an exposure that way. And that's what we are. We're kids as photographers. We're going out and trying to just see the world with fresh eyes and try things, okay? And some of those things don't work. That has to be accepted. But the technology that's available right here in this machine makes this actually easy if you think it through. Hold. Ready, and go. Beautiful. Bingo. Bravo. Beautiful. No, that's wonderful. Bravo. Great one to end on. Thank you.
Thank you.